Hi, good morning, everyone. I hope today is going great. It is November 11th. That is an angel number, so please make a wish today. I hope your dreams come true. Just gonna give it another minute and then we'll start our presentation. Hi, Jerry, and I see a bunch of other meeting notes. Okay, cool. I think I'm gonna start us off. So just before we even start, I have this little video for us that you should be able to hear. Okay, cool. And then we're just gonna go right into our meeting. Everyone can see my screen, yes?
Yes, Vidushi.
Perfect. Okay. So we're bringing back what some of the WSI consultants might have seen at our Atlanta regional meet last month, October 10th, actually. So we're just about 1 month away from what we did. But we've tweaked it a little bit. We have a live demo of one of our case studies. So I'm very excited to show that. This is our agenda. So we're going to start with our AI sales journey. So curiosity piece where that starts conversations that take place when you're talking to clients about selling AI, especially a robust discovery framework. So I'm going to share questions that we like to ask and a couple of tropical points that you want to hit when you're talking to a prospective client. And we have two case studies for you. We'll do a live demo of one of them, which is the second one, which would lead into a live demo of two AI tools, Google Ads and Google Search Console. And we have key takeaways and Q&A. I'll request that all verbal questions be held till the end. However, if you still are curious about something that I'm explaining, feel free to put it in the chat. The team is here to monitor. We have Girish and Arjun. And then Shubham will be doing the live demo later for Maya AI. Okay, so just starting off, when it comes to your sales journey in general, but AI specifically, it always starts with curiosity. And it really is a loop, which is why I have it here in a circle. Um, Although you start with curiosity, someone comes and says that they want AI, but they don't exactly know how they want AI, what they want the AI to perform. They just know that they want AI because it's a buzzword and they want something related to it in their structure and strategy. So it becomes your job as an IC or a supplier to figure out how you can implement AI, essentially automating one of their process. That is usually the piece where you would want to add AI. So that curiosity conversation leads to discovery. Obviously, you would have a a mini discovery phase in your initial conversation with them where you're asking them a lot of questions, but when you're scoping for a project, you have to have a robust discovery phase where you ask them a bunch of different questions about their current system, about who you're contacting, and things that they want to integrate. And then based on that discovery, you're able to create a pilot, which is essentially a mini project that allows them to test run you as a supplier. And if they're satisfied and happy with the solution that you've provided and the metrics that are being met, like the success criterias, then that moves into a full-blown production where you're able to make the entire system. And then you run that, it goes live, they use it for a while, and if they like it, they want to upgrade some things, then that goes into expansion. And after that expansion, if they still want to add more things or they want to work with you on another project, then you restart that entire sales journey. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to really hone in on that discovery aspect now. We've been in the industry for really long now, 22 years. So all of our employees are very well versed with what needs to be done, what doesn't need to be done, what questions you need to ask, and essentially the right questions that you want to probe. Because sometimes clients don't want to answer, or they don't even know that that's an aspect that they have to think about till you ask them, right? So irrespective of pitching for an AI project, these are topics that you want to inquire about in your discovery phase. So you want to ask about organization and contact. Who is it that you're talking to? Um, their name, what is their industry, and you want to make sure that the pipeline between you and the key decision maker in your client's firm is low. So that would allow for your project and approval and that timeline to just move smoother and at a faster pace. Then you want to ask about their current process and challenges. So what is it that they're doing right now? What is the key issue? What is it that they want to solve? Just generic questions around that. And then you ask about functionality and scope. So what exactly is it that they're trying to solve? Once they tell you what the challenge is, then ask them to help for you to help them. You need to ask them exactly what functionality the system would need to perform. And then you're scoping for what is the AI performance that needs to be done. Is the AI doing classification? Is it extracting data? Is it predicting data? Then when it comes to AI, usually you want AI to continuously learn from itself because then it optimizes and then the processing time decreases, right? So that's a clear question you should ask them. Usually the answer is yes for continuous learning, but it's better to have that down in writing, right? You want to safeguard yourself and them in any contracts that you sign. And then you want to ask about human involvement. At any point with the system that they're creating or they want you to create, is a human going to be involved in the loop? Are they going to be, say, editing data or answers that the AI is processing, or is there an internal review system that needs to be manually checked by the human, not just the AI? So those are kind of questions that you would ask under these frameworks. And also asking why now? Why is it that now you want this AI process to be enabled? Why haven't you thought about it before? Or have you thought about it before? Have you spoken to other people? So that really gives you a good pulse check on where you stand with them and if they're talking to other suppliers. Then we move into questions that are pertinent for you to ask. So I've divided them in these three categories, and then there's three more. But we have business goals. So what is it that you're trying to solve, right? What are the KPIs? You want them down written properly in like maybe 3 bullet points or 5 bullet points, depending on the system you're trying to create. Um, Proper success metrics. So is it that they're trying to optimize the amount of time that the system is taking? Are they, for example, and we talk about this later in one of our case studies, but is is one human, say, taking 8 hours to complete a process and they want to reduce that time? Is that important for the pilot to be successful, for them to then move to production, if that makes sense? And then is this project part of a larger digital transformation, or is it standalone? Are you going to be integrating their system with something else, or is it just something that they want to use? Do they want intellectual property rights for this, or is this a solution that you would own intellectual property rights to? And that also helps you gauge a little bit on how you want to essentially price the solution, right? So you would ask these questions on your business goals. Then we have data landscape. So that's all about data. What type of data are you working with? What's the format of the data, right? Where is the data stored? Is it on a server? Is it on cloud? Is it in a database? If it's if it's in a server, is it going to be a local server? Or this also leads to privacy. Are they very the information that they're working with, does it have privacy policies around it? Then what's the volume of the data that they're working with? Um, which is again an important question because that helps you understand essentially where you would want to host their system, again, leading to the server and the volume that you're working with, the processing speed to make sure that they're getting information at the right time and they're not stuck waiting for their system to just load and reload because we've become really impatient, and I can only imagine that in the workspace it's worse, right? You want things to happen in a click. So those are some questions you'd ask under data landscape. Then we have users and experience. So you want to understand who's going to be using the system. What are their technical expertise? Do they have tech knowledge at all, or are they looking for dashboards for things that are easy to read? We just want words and images, almost like working with, say, like a high schooler. Do you want the information to be easier to process? Visually speaking, or even auditory? Do you need videos and audio clips, or do you want to be able to type more? Really understand through questions what it is that they're looking for. And granted, they may not have the answer for you already, but that's why you're asking them so that they start thinking about it, right? If you won't ask, they won't know. Or if they already know, then they might not want to tell till you ask. And then you also have to question if they have a preferred interface that they want to work with, right? So like I said, dashboards or a chatbot, or just another kind of system. If they're trying to look for reports, they're looking for pie charts, bar graphs, all those different type of quantitative and qualitative charts that you could look at essentially. So after you ask these three data set questions, then you want to move on to the other nitty-gritty. So that's about integration, compliance, and scalability. When it comes to integration, you're asking, again, system integration. So that's, are they working with an ERP? Are they working with a CRM? That helps you understand pricing as well. So, and the amount of time it would take for deployment, because you even running a test on that and then costing that would be additional for them other than what you're charging them for your services. Because if they're working with another system that's already built, they would have to pay a fee for that subscription separately to what you scope them with, right? Then you want to ask about deployment preferences. So again, similar to within that data set question that we asked, are they trying to be on cloud or on premise or hybrid? So that section kind of leads into this, but still ask again in graver detail. And then what's the expected performance time? Is the AI supposed to respond in real time or in batches? So that helps you essentially do the test run for the pilot and figure out what coding language you want to use, or other systems you can integrate with that, other tools that maybe you can add to it or suggest them to use to help in the solution that you're building for them. Then you want to ask about compliance. So those are questions around legal or ethical guidelines that they might have to follow, because you want to make sure that you, as the company that's providing the solution and the system that you're building, knows all those guidelines and is able to answer them when needed. And then around data privacy, are they trying to build audit logs, for example? Does it need to have traceability? Does it need to have explainability? Um, what is that output going to look like based on the compliances that they need to follow, or their end clients require from them, right? And then the last question section that you would want to discover and have on paper in your discovery phase is scalability. While you're having conversations, you are already thinking about something else or something new that you want to add, right? So you want to ask, are there new features that you're already thinking of that you want to integrate in this system while we've had this entire conversation? Are you planning to add more users or domains or data sources other than what we've already established in these previous 8 questions? So you're safe proofing this discussion that you've had with them and future discussions. And if you have that down already, you can disclose to them that we can add this feature in the actual production, we cannot add this feature in the pilot. Or we can have the first phase of the production without this feature. If you like it, after that, we can talk about adding this new feature that we've talked about that you would like. So that would be part of your expansion. Right, I hope that's making a little bit of sense. I know that was a lot of word scrabble, so I'm going to ask you to click on the link that I'd actually sent in the chat maybe before you joined. And I'm going to launch this poll. If you could take a minute to answer them, and I think you'll be able to see the results on your end too. But the question is, when it comes to AI projects, which part of the discovery process do you think creates the biggest barriers to moving forward? So this is a multiple choice. You can pick one out of the 4. Are there issues in defining clear KPIs or success metrics? Are you facing difficulties in getting access to clean, usable data, or aligning internal stakeholders, or budgeting and timeline clarity with your client? Thank you. I see one person voted. They said clear KPIs and success metrics. Okay. I'm not sure how many people are on here, so either Arjun or Krish, if you think that we can move on to the next part, just let me know. But I'm gonna give it another minute or 2 to see if we have other people respond.
Yeah, let's wait.
Mhm. And again, each client is different, each case can look different. So it's not necessary that every client you'd face the same issue. But yes, discovery can be a hard conversation to have sometimes. Okay, 2 votes in, both for KPIs and success metrics. Yeah, so you really have to drill them. 3 votes in, all for the same category. So you're really trying to drill in and ask them what it is that you're trying to solve for them because you're creating the solution for their benefit, right? So unless you're able to chalk out the KPIs and success metrics, they will most likely not be satisfied with the solution that you create for them because they're not sure of what they want. So that discovery can take a while, and that's okay. But having a vision of what you're trying to create for them before you start is very important. Okay, I see 4 votes in, and they're all for KPIs. Yeah, I understand. Success metrics are hard to define. Personally and professionally, I think we all struggle with that sometimes. I'm going to maybe move on to our next slide. But speaking of, oh, I see another vote for getting access to clean and usable data. Okay, yes, I hear you. That can also be a struggle. We actually had scoping for one of our client, and we wanted to make sure that we were working with the right volume of data for they needed cloud data servers, so it was important to make sure we had the right format and the volume we were working with. And again, you can have different barriers as well. These are just 4 that I listed off the top of my head. But speaking of KPIs and success metrics, I'm going to move into our first case study actually. It's called I Am Code. So this is a generative AI and RAG-based NLP for bulk query processing. Big words, I know. RAG AI is regenerative retrieval augmented generation. So essentially you're creating a data set and your AI is able to pull answers from it when a query is made that's already in the system, if that makes sense. And I'll explain that better in the next couple of slides as well. And NLP is natural language processing, but this client I Am Code we actually got from one of our business networks, WSI, and we're still actively working on this solution. But the pain points that we honed in on after numerous conversations with them was that they were facing a lot of discourse because the team was buried under repetitive query answering. And to help them proceed in a solution that was AI related, they needed traceability and answers that were grounded in data sets. So that's the RAG feature that I'm talking about. And then from our discovery framework, if you remember asking about the UI UX and like the user experience, what kind of technical expertise do the people that are going to use the system have? They told us that they had non-technical users, so they needed something that was easy to edit and preview capabilities for the interface that we were creating for them. So when we discovered these, we were then able to set success criterias with them. Of course, we had to get their approval, right? So we quantitated a metric of reducing the error rates in the answers that are being written. Were being handwritten before, but now that we're automating, we wanted to reduce that by about 30%. Humans make a lot of errors, right? Grammar, spellings, and then you lose syntax or context somewhere, and that can blow the entire answer out of proportion. So we started off with a little more than a quarter, right? 1/3 of what probably can actually be achieved, just to make sure that we're not over promising, but we're also not under promising at the same time. So that was one of our important criteria that we set for the pilot. Another criteria was to maintain low latency while processing over 100 plus queries. So essentially, it's like a booklet, and one booklet has over 100 queries. So you want to be able to answer all of those 100 queries with low error rates. And the other part of the success criteria was making sure that the UI is easy to edit and preview. The first two was easy to assess because that's on the system, right? That's just AI and analytics that we can run and audit. But for the easy UI and editable previews, that's something that we needed their conversation for. Like we needed them to actually review it and tell us if there were things that we should change in the interface, or like if there's a button we need to change or the color of it and those kind of things, to really make sure that we're delivering what it is that they're looking for. Right. So when we said that this is the solution that we came up with was creating something that related to RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation. I might have missaid that before. And then creating context validation for accuracy, and real-time editing. So that real-time is part of the integration aspect from the discovery phase that I'd mentioned before. And this is the workflow for my visual learners just to see what it is that the solution actually performs. So there's a query that's raised, and then the system that we created goes and retrieves, so searches and fetches relevant data from internal documents, and then it'll preview a text and that's editable. So I, as a user, once the queries are in, I see that the answers are out here, and if I want, I can edit each of those responses and then submit it, and that goes out as the final output, which is the report. And that one document is about 100 questions, so that's a lot of volume that we're working with, right? I can, like, reading through all of that can be really painful sometimes. So when it came to the results, in the tech stack, we have RAG architecture, and then there was a lot of vector search over custom knowledge base, and that real-time editing UI that I'd mentioned with AI assisted suggestions. So even when I'm trying to edit one of those responses, I still have AI assisted suggestions on making sure syntax and grammar, for example, are correct. And then scalability when it comes to batching and low latency retrieval. So that's the tech stack. If you have questions about this, we do have the tech team joining in if they haven't already yet. They're coming from another meeting, but they might be able to help you answer some questions around this. But when it came to the results, the success criteria, we set an error reduction of 30%. However, we were able to achieve 30 to 50%, so I'd say an average of 40%. So we were able to achieve more than we'd promised them, which was good for us and great for them, right? Because that just means that we're building our relationship and tightening it based on results that we're actually providing and not just conversations. And the requirement was for a minimum of 100 queries, and we were able to process some batches with more than that. And the system actually runs decently fast. I'd say about 5 to 7 minutes to answer those 100 questions, if not more. It might be less than that, but a couple of batches of those 100 queries they're able to answer within 5 to 7 minutes. And an initial scoping question that we had to ask was a primary language. So since they don't operate in English, we needed to make sure that syntax and context from the queries and questions that are asked is maintained even with AI. For people that have used Google Translate in bigger systems, you know that Google Translate only translates each word, so you lose the meaning of the sentence sometimes. So that was something that took a little bit of while for us to make sure that we got right, but it was well maintained in the pilot, and we were able to achieve results above what we'd set as the KPI. So that's what I have for IM code, and I'm gonna launch another question for you actually, which is right here. So this is a word cloud. Again, if you're on that link, this should pop up automatically, but if you closed it, feel free to click on that link again. So I'm only trying to create a word cloud because we're gonna move on to our next case study. But the question is, what words or phrases come to mind when you think about financial data automation? There's no right or wrong answer, so whatever comes to mind, just throw it in there. And it can be a full sentence if you wanted to. I can't remember if there's a limit on the word limit for what you can put in here. I'm gonna leave this up here for a minute or two and see if people are answering. See two people typing. Yeah, and if you've already put in something, oh, I see a couple of responses, and you still have questions based on what I just said, feel free to put it in the chat. We have the team monitoring that, and we'll answer questions as they come along. Okay, I see learning, financial, machine, reporting, accounts payable, I'm assuming is one word, transactions completed, payment processing.
Machine
Okay.
learning.
I don't see anyone else typing, so I can move on with this. But yeah, so our next case study actually is a financial client, and we did some data automation for them. It wasn't accounts payable. It was more on the reporting landscape. And I think this is machine learning and finance, which we also integrated into the system. So I'm going to leave this word cloud up, so if you still feel like putting something in there, please feel free to. But here we have Maya AI. So this solution is an SEC proxy automation that we created. We've done the entire sales cycle with them. We did the curiosity, we did the discovery, the pilot, the production, and we've also done an expansion with them. I'm going to talk about the second phase, which is that production to expansion, but I'm going to display it in the curiosity landscape. Okay. So we'd first met them through a webinar that they'd attended of ours on data operations. And they disclosed to us that their manual SEC extractions were taking about 8 to 10 hours a day. It's actually a little bit more than that. They were also being naive with that number. And what we did was create a parsing solution for them, which we then were able to upsell into full automation. We've had this client for about a decade now, if not longer. And they used our first system for about 4 or 5 years, and then we did the upgradation for them. So while doing that upsell, the pilot success criteria that we set for that was going through 5 company filings and reaching a 75% extraction accuracy within the same day that data is available. So every morning, SEC.gov uploads files like 10K and Dev 14 that essentially their employees need to go through and create reports for their end clients to be able to use and decide what stocks they want to buy and where they want to invest. So we initially reduced that, I'll say, 10 hours down to 7, and then we needed to reduce that even more. We had a decent amount of extraction accuracy, which was, I think, about 60-70% initially. So we set the criteria for this new pilot to be slightly higher than that because we knew that we'd achieved something well versed into it before. So the timeline that we followed for the new pilot was that we did a rediscovery phase and a pilot data set selection. So essentially, again, asking them those 9 questions, but really those 6, because those first 3 were more generic. But asking them based on the system that you're using right now, what is it that you want more improvement in? Where are you trying to integrate? What kind of data are you using now? And of course, we knew a lot of these answers as well, but asking them really if there's updates from what we've done for you versus what we're going to do for you now. And then we were able to do the agent development in a pilot run, which took us about 5 weeks. When we got that approval, then we scaled to add some of the pieces that they told us in the scaling phase of the discovery questions, which is, are there features that you're thinking of adding? So we added auto mapping there and some additional tables. And then we integrated everything that we created with a Qlik portal, and we did a QA workflow. So we'll show you this in the live demo. Like, you'll be able to see what the system actually looks like. But then once they saw that and they gave us the approval, we went live, and now they're using it for daily automation. So we've actually reduced the time that they're spending significantly from what they were. And for the tech stack, we used Python. My tech team can answer this better, but I know that Python is better for AI automation. Why is something that they can shine light on. And then we use generative AI and NLP libraries. So again, similar. We did this before we did IM Code. So a lot of the research that we did for Maya AI, we were able to then use for other projects like IM Code. And then we use SQL, which is Postgres and MySQL libraries, I believe that's the specific term. And then we had scheduling and email notifications that employees would get based on new reports and dashboards that were created at the top of the day. Right. So the solution was to create an AI-powered document search with daily automation and a QA dashboard. And that email notification aspect was important because the only thing that the employees then had to do was go in and double check, verify that the information that's pulled from the proxy files and SEC files is valid and correct, and then they approve it, and then the rest of the automation just continues on from there. So integrating that with a click visualization portal was also important, which is the traceability aspect. So if there's something that they need to review within the actual folder, they're able to click on it and it leads them to the folder, to the file, I'm sorry, and exactly where they need to pull that data from. So we'd set the criteria of achieving 75% extraction accuracy because we had achieved 70 before. We have achieved 85, I'd say, between 80 to 90. So that average is 85% extraction accuracy. Again, we didn't overpromise and we didn't underpromise either because we've been working with them. So we did what we knew we could. And something that was important to them was that the AI continues to learn from itself, so the processing time reduces even more. So this analyst time saved was another 3 hours of their day. So now they're down to about spending maybe 2 to 3 hours, and we're actually still working with them to improve the system even more. So another expansion phase, if you will. And now they have 100% same day data pipeline, which means that the only thing they need to do is go in and double check, which takes them maybe an hour, not more than that. So we've reduced their time significantly, and they're very happy about it, and so are we. Great. So now I'm gonna hand it over to our tech team, Shubham, and I believe Shatrughan is here too, and they'll show you what Maya AI looks like, and then I have two other things that I would like to show you.
Yeah, Vidushi, thank you. Let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So, first of all, I will give you a brief idea about these applications. So basically, our clients, they gather all the financial data and the company's data from the proxy files which are being published on the US Security and Exchange Commission site. So anyone can go and grab the data from there. These are not confidential data. These are open to public and the investor who want to get a glance of all the companies. Okay. So our client basically process the proxy and 10K data. And based on that, they prepare few reports so that they can sell it to their subscriber. Okay. So, but the process of getting all the data, mostly they are processing the Russell 3000 companies, and along with that, there are few other companies. So, altogether, near about in a year, they process about 4,500 companies in a year. And the peak season is mostly in the month of March, April, and May. So that 3 month has a very high volume of companies where data team is not able to process the companies in a single day. So that's why they had come up with an idea that if some automations can be done, so that can reduce the workload and the data pipeline can be prepared, and the subscribers can get the data on the same day. So these are the proxy files. This is just an example I'm showing you for 3M company. So these are on the SEC side. So I will show you the applications, the backend application. This is the backend applications which we have developed in .NET Core. And the data team, data analyst, you can call it. The data analyst team first, before the implementations of AI, they used to in the one screen they used to open the application, and on the second screen they used to open the proxy file, and they used to capture the data individually one by one. So that was a very tedious task to go through the files and capture the data and do the manual data entry over here one by one. So this is a backend interface. I can show you for the company 3M. We can these are the list of all the fiscal year for which the data has been processed. I will show you the latest fiscal year data. This is the latest fiscal year. This is a live this is a live application. All the data has been processed for all the officers in SAT part, that is a summary compensation table. And we have also provided an option over here so that you can directly go into that section of that proxy file where you can see who are the officers and for which years, what was their salary, bonus, stock awards. So this is the backend applications where it was a time consuming. So we implemented Maya so that what Maya does is that it goes into the SEC site where every day we get the list of all the companies who are publishing their proxy files over here. So every day in the morning, Maya goes into this site and fetch the list of companies from there, and then it tell you whether those companies are there in our database or not. Because if the company doesn't exist, if the client is not processing that company, it doesn't make any sense to process that data of that company. So we validate whether data exists in our database. So if companies exist in our database, we start the processing of grabbing all the SAT data, the board pay data, the outstanding equity data. So all the data is one by one, we are fetching it from the proxy file, and then we are storing it into the SQL database. And in the morning, once the processing has been completed, the data team are notified that these are the list of companies which are being processed through Maya. So what happens that when they log in into the morning, they can see what are the list of companies has already been processed, and they can go and they can validate. So one round of reviewer work is there so that they can validate whether the data is accurate or not, so that we can check the accuracy of the data. And the person who is doing the validations, everything, they are marking their name and date and time over here so that the level of checks points are been done. So this is the background of the backend applications. And for the client side, we have this application where the subscriber, they log in, and once they log in, they can go into the sections. They can create a peer groups so that they can create a peer group of 50 companies and compare the data of all the 15 companies together. So this is just an example. I have created one peer group of this, and you can see over here by clicking on this executive pay, it will display a dashboard. And we have also provided features where they can download the executive pay reports from the available menus. Now, these are all custom reports, and all the custom reports depend upon the type of login. Now, since I have an admin access, I have the access to all the reports. So this is the dashboard is the summary compensation table, where 5 companies are there in the peer group, and based on these 5 companies, the data has been generated over here. Along with that, you can also download an executive pay reports. You can select the role. Based on the role, you can generate the data. Now all the reports will be in an Excel template. So the download size and the speed of the download depend upon the size of the peer group and the data which are there in the Excel file. Select a full company, and clicking on this, it will populate the various types of reports in the Excel format. It's the pay component, prevalence of LTI component, and along with that, we have all the tabular data in the Excel file, so that you can also use this data to form if you have some custom requirement on the data. So I will hand over this to Shubham, who can show you the actual process where the automations work. Shubham, can you share your
Thank
screen?
you,
And
sir.
so, yeah. So the first, click application first for which company you are going to process. So the company where the data are there or not.
Sir, my screen is visible.
Yeah, it's visible.
Right now I have chosen the 3M company, and you can see the 2024 data is missing right now. So I'm going to run the application.
This is a Python-based applications which fetch the records from the proxy files. So there are various models. So we will show you the demo of SCT. So normally in a rush season, you will see that the filings counts are near about 150 to 180 companies in a day. And in the normal days, every day, sometimes we receive 10 companies or 5 companies. But during the rush season, if the volume is too high, the Maya takes near about 45 minutes to 50 minutes to process all the 180 companies.
So the SCT model has been completed successfully. Currently running the another model.
You can show the interface if data has been added into the
First, I
DBL.
have to insert into the SQL.
Yeah. And this process is not run manually on the server. We have scheduled these services so that every day in the morning, it triggers automatically. It goes into the RSS feed, take the list of companies, process it, and send an automated email to all the stakeholders.
So the SCT model has been run successfully. So let me refresh this. So now you can see 2024 model has been submitted successfully. After clicking the submit button, you can see the SCT model right now. So this is the data which has been fetched from the proxy file.
So within few seconds, the Maya AI was able to parse the data of SAT. If the data analyst, if they have to enter the data, I think so they would have taken more than 45 minutes to enter all the data for all the section. So there are various different models over here which we have automated, and as Vidushi said that drastically it has reduced the times of the data entry which the data team is doing. And the most important thing was that earlier it was taking at least 2 to 3 days to validate, check, and then publish the actual data to the client side. So that has been reduced now. So within a single day, if data team is in India and they process in the morning, and by 6 p.m. in the evening when it's morning in US, the data which are being published are pushed to the live server. So they can get a fresh data every day. So
You
over
can
to you, Vidushi. You can carry on with your presentation.
Yeah, thank you.
thanks.
That looks very interesting. Every time I see it, I'm always wowed. But okay, I'm gonna share my screen again, and I wanted to show you two things. I don't know if we have enough time to do both, but if you have a Google Ads account or either for your own business or for your clients, under Asset Studios, they have these features. I don't know if anyone has explored them, but we've seen that it's very interesting. You're able to create new images. So you put a prompt in and then it'll generate a couple of images. I'd already done some, so I just put generic one like New Year's Eve in Egypt, and it gave me 7 different images with people, without people. You can make the prompt as specific as you want. This is another one, office that is empty, but it's a fashion house. So you see those that editorial finish portraits at the back, and then some fabrics and a model to work with. So I think this is a lot better than using ChatGPT or other image generation apps. This provides a lot of quality and enough diversity within just one prompt. This is a sunset lamp shining light on a cat in a cat tree house. So you can see that even with the cat images that are generated, there's still different types of cats. So I'll say it's very diverse in the kind of pictures that it generates. And then here's some with a white couch with a lot of velvet throw pillows and a blanket on it. And then the addition to that was messy but still neat. So you can see that kind of finish that's there. And then I generated a lot more, but you can see here that there's a note. These images are stored for 14 days and then removed. So you'll be able to see the prompt for 14 days and then it'll go off. I think we have enough time that I can put one prompt. So if anyone has a prompt, I will put that in here. Let's do candles and lit at a candlelight dinner near water, full, sitting and eating. It takes about 30 seconds to a minute for it to generate images. I've seen that there's a lot of sensitivity around children. So if you add the word children, images will not be generated. You can add young adults, that's still fine, but if there's the word children, it will not generate any kind of images. But yeah, as you see here, it's processing and generating. And here you have 8 different prompts, 8 different images that are generated from here. And you can select this and then it'll prepare the image and you can further edit it. So you could replace the background if you want, or add an object. You could even increase the border. So there's a lot of editability with the images that are generated. You can replace an object, expand the image, adjust colors. So this was something really cool. And after, if you select to save it, it'll go directly to your asset library. So here's some that I'd done before. And then if you're looking at creating a video, you need to upload images. So it has all these different prompts and templates essentially that you can use. The only thing I'll say with this is you cannot download the video. It uploads directly to the account that's linked to it, but you can create a horizontal, square, or vertical video. So they have suggestions to where you want to put your logo. And if the images are already in your Asset Studio, then you just pick them up from there and you can go from there. And I'll give you a preview and it'll make the whole thing. For time's sake, I'm not going to do this right now, but they come out really well. But when you finish, you go to continue to upload. It won't do it right now because there's no text. And then you can pick which account you want it to go live on. So since we handle a lot of Google Ads, we have multiple accounts that we can then put that on. So we have to select that. So this was a cool feature, another AI tool that you can use for your business or your client. The other one that I wanted to show really quick is for Google Search Console. So when you're working with keywords for queries, you want to try to optimize using zero-click high impression words because we're in the era where there's zero clicks. People are just reading answers from Google Insights, AI overviews. So if you take, say, 3 to 4 topics and then you put that into ChatGPT and you ask it to create a tropical cluster from that, then you select that and then you go to Answer Socrates, which is a site that'll give you keyword insights based on the country and language. So you put that in there and then you pick the country. So I'm doing this for one of our clients that we're handling in Bahrain. And then you search. And you can do this with the free version. It's not paid. It'll give you these suggestions, but really what you want to look at is cluster keywords. And then there's so many credits that you get. You get 1,500 credits every day, every week, I believe. And then you can use them. So it'll give you the total number of keywords and then the cluster topics and cluster percentage. And you can actually just download all of this. It'll download as an Excel file and it'll show you what the cost per click is for those words, the competition index, and the cluster search volume. So when you have that downloaded, I believe I can download it here. And this is how it'll display in the workbook. So you're able to see the cluster name, volume, and all those details. And then obviously you don't have to use all of them, but then you can take these suggestions and add them to your content on your website or ideally on your website, but you can also use it for social media campaigns. Yeah, and that's what I have for the live demo. On the wrong slide. And then just quickly for key takeaways, I know we're running out of time, so what you really want to look at is AI success always starts with the process. Get them to pilot, do a robust discovery phase, then get them to pilot. Because when you pilot, you have data that you're actually able to show them, and then that automatically sells to production and a full expansion based on your client's relationship with you. And there are a lot of AI tools on hand, so you want to test, play around with everything and see which one fits best for you and then work with those. And that's kind of all I have for you today. I know it was long. I would love to take some questions. So yeah, feel free to ask verbally or just throw them in the chat and we'll respond. I'm gonna stop sharing. But you should have our contacts just because I want to see chat in case someone puts something in here.
Yeah, I'm checking.
John, you're welcome.
Thank
Yes,
you.
of course, Jerry. Thank you. Yeah, I did have another poll question, but I'll just throw that into WorkVivo for people to answer.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think we're exactly on time, and I don't see anyone typing anything.
Yeah.
So thank you everyone for joining. It was great.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad we were able to show you my AI. And yeah, we look
Thank you.
forward to catching up in person or another webinar. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks, Shukla. Bye.